Skynet doesn't seem to be as around the corner as some people would hope. So, seeing Arnold probably isn't going to happen anytime soon. Plus, weighing less than a loaf of bread, a miracle that occurred 1 year ago, is still precious today. Welcome back. Thanks for showing up. Before we get started, make sure you click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the notification button, and please share this with everybody that you know. AI has been a big topic of late. We've seen it across the news with Joe Rogan having his show essentially cloned. Now, the people who did it put out front saying this is not an actual show, but they still cloned the show. They got his voice down, they got the voices of those people who were his guests on the show down. Joe Rogan even said this is kind of scary that people can do these things. Along those lines, a mother in Arizona picked up the phone one morning and heard what she thought was her daughter's voice. The mother had a sense of going and double checking to make sure that that was her calling another phone number. But it was scary that the voice was that of her daughter's. The mother said it was completely her voice. It was her inflection. It was the way she would have cried. I never doubted for 1 second it was her. So it's amazing and it's somewhat terrifying what people can do these days. Now, professors at some universities have now stated that it doesn't take a whole lot of samples of someone's voice for AI to clone it. And so they're expecting more spoofing schemes such as this to occur. Obviously, the one with Joe Rogan was an outlandish example, but this one here with this mother from Arizona, her daughter's on a trip. Who's to say that someone's not watching that family and knows and can exploit that issue using now a very small sample of voice recognition or voice um, samples? So, what do we do these days? You got to protect yourself. Try to limit what you put out onto the internet. Obviously, this is a podcast, so people are going to have my voice, but I don't know why anybody would want to clone my voice anyway. I'm not worth a whole lot. So don't go ahead and do it. But be safe about it. Put those things out that you trust in those spaces. And if those opportunities happen to you, be smart about it. Think through those things before you let the panic set in. Yes, it can be upsetting. Yes, it can be scary, I would imagine. But allow yourself to think through the situation before you let the panic set in. Could this really be happening? If so, how do I know? Like this mother made a separate phone call, double checked, made sure that things were good to go. Then she notified the police and let the authorities have at that situation. So, as scary as it can be, AI uh, is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Science will continue to use AI for all sorts of things, all sorts of avenues of research and development and the use of technology and growing technology. That's what they're going to do. It's here to stay. So be mindful of those things. On a positive note, across the pond in southeast England, mother and father were expecting their first child in July of 2022. But March of 2022 came first. Their pregnancy seemed to go rather smooth for the first several months. But then in March, the mother started having severe abdomen pain. She went to the doctor, trying to figure out what was going on. The nurses said, "Ma'am, you're in labor." So they induced, went through, and 2 hours later, their child was born, weighing 1.17 pounds. They got to hold their child for 6 minutes before she was taken away and put under more direct care. For 6 weeks, the baby girl was on a respirator. After 130 days, the young baby was allowed to go home with her parents. And just this last March, celebrated her first birthday. Not all came out cream of the crop. Complications here and there arose and waned as the year progressed. But as of today, they have their lovely, beautiful baby girl still with them. Now that is something to smile about. So I hope that makes you smile too. And I wanted to leave you with something positive to think about for today. The links for these stories are in the description. I'll catch you on the flip side.